Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Right Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. My co-hosts are running just a slither behind, but they will be joining me shortly. Hope everybody did enjoy their weekend. We actually were able to see some live baseball being played, and that has got to have everybody feeling really good. So, with the first couple of games of spring training underway, tell me in the chat, how are you guys all feeling about how this spring has sprung? How are we feeling about this team? Because this is just, when you look at the offensive numbers that were being put up, it has to leave you kind of on the optimistic side. I can't see any negativity. We've seen a lot from guys that we expected to see positive things from. We've seen positive things from guys we weren't expecting. So it's really interesting to see how this is all starting to plan out. Pitching, okay, they gave up some runs, but that's what you expect to see in a league where, with MLB trying to do their best to increase offensive numbers to make it more entertaining rather than competitive. Yeah, runs are going to come across the board. I've talked about that, and that was my issue with all the rule changes. That we were going to see an uptick of runs. ERAs are not going to always look the way that they're supposed to, because of all the adjustments that Manfred has done to ruin the game and take the power away from the pitches. So ERAs are going to look a little inflated. They always do in the spring. So let's not take too much stock into that. But you're seeing, solid delivery. The mechanics from the pitches are looking good. Approaches at the plate from the offense. They're seeing the ball really well out of the pitcher's hands. I made some notes about how the spring training games were looking yesterday, that we were able to see it on TV. So with all of that being said, Donald, what's up, bro?
Let's go. How good have these last two games been?
I mean, you're saying, bro.
Unbelievable. Like 30 freaking 4 runs or some shit. Like, bro, the Giants all season long didn't score 34 points. Right? Let alone the Jets. So I mean, oh my God. Spencer Jones, I'm so excited about Spencer Jones. That swing is insane. It's like a Stantonian swing, and it was 5 for 5. He's not been out yet in spring. That's why we haven't traded him, people. That's why we haven't traded him. And Juan Soto, oh my God. Anyone who has dismissed the Juan Soto deal and maybe just kind of been like, well, they've not added enough pitching. You guys don't know the effect that he has had on this team already, man. Like, this team is playing, like, even early in spring, they're playing like it means something. They're fighting out there, man. They're going for it. So this is going to be fun. This season's going to be fire. I'm telling you. I can feel it. This season's going to be fire. This offense looks ridiculous. And also, as to your earlier point about ERAs, I don't know if it's Manfred necessarily. I think it's a lot in spring training. It's always going to be inflated because these pitchers are not necessarily pitching their full arsenal. They're often just trying out certain pitches to see how it plays. Maybe working on certain things, working on their delivery, working on which areas to improve on for the regular season. So the ERAs don't necessarily matter because of that. It's later in spring, that's when you'll start to see more of what your full arsenal will be. But early on in the first few starts, you're just kind of focusing on things. So you'd be maybe focusing on your tertiary pitch for an outing. If you're a fastball slider guy, maybe you're trying to work in a cutter, and then see what happens with that. That's kind of why ERAs are often inflated early in spring. So I wouldn't look too deeply into that.
Yeah. No, that's what I analyzed during the spring games. On the pitching side, I'm watching their mechanics, how they're able to repeat their delivery. Are they comfortable in their delivery? Are they staying in the zone? I don't care if they give up the hits. I'm looking for the consistency and the comfortability in their delivery. Are they comfortable with their arsenal? On the batting side, are they seeing the ball well out of the pitcher's hand? Are they able to, ride out in at bat? Are they taking the pitches that they should be? Or are they just swinging the fucking swing? Or are they just throwing the ball to throw the ball? Those are the things that you really are looking for. That's how I analyze the spring. What's going on, Rob? Rob,
Morning.
we were breaking down, the spring expectations, what we're looking for. You're not worrying so much about the batting average or the ERA. I was saying that one of the things, and we've talked about this for the last, 4 years that we've been together, working together. I'm watching the delivery, the mechanics on the pitches. Are they able to be consistent within the strike zone? Are the batters seeing the ball well, or are they just, are they working the at bat? I'm not so much worried about the ERAs or the batting averages, especially in the first weekend. But what we did see was rather freaking impressive.
Yeah, there's plenty of reason to be excited, right? Because we have Juan Soto, and we saw what that is going to bring for our lineup. I said yesterday, like, that's so unfair that you got to deal with him and then Judge back to back. Like, that's literally, it shouldn't be allowed, but that's how unfair it is.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we have it on our side. And Rodon looked really strong. His fastball velocity was, I think he topped out at like 95, so that's a good sign for his first start. Yeah, Soto looked great. Judge looked really good. We got to see Lombard hit a home run, which was nice. Spencer Jones keeps hitting the ball. So far, again, it's spring, so you can't look too far into it, and you're looking for mechanics. But in terms of like Rodon, his delivery looked good. He was working on other pitches, so it's all good signs so far. And even in the game that we lost yesterday, the split squad game, you saw Stroman working on some stuff. He wasn't as good, but again, you're not going to look too far into it. And we saw Edgar Barclay look pretty good in a couple innings of work. So there's a lot to look forward to. And that's why I like the spring games, because you get to see guys you're not going to normally see. But so far so good. And man, I'm just seeing Soto in pinstripes hitting in front of Judge, and then that second at bat, he walks, and then Judge hits a bullet. He gets him to third. I'm like, you're going to see so much of that all season long, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean,
can I hop on Damien's comment there? Are you referring to Spencer Jones? Because I've been leading the Spencer Jones hive here. You know what I mean? Along with Dane and Raw. I mean, I'm under no circumstances do I trade Spencer Jones. I've always been standing firm with that. So there's others that would maybe trade him, but not me. Like, I'm behind this guy. I think this guy's going to be an unbelievable talent. I mean, we're talking about someone who is measured as one of the fastest athletes in the game, and he's not even in the majors yet. He's rated as elite speed. I think in the up to 80 scale, I think he's rated in the 70s for speed alone, which is just remarkable. And then also power. He's got the power as well. Look at that swing. Rob, what does that swing remind you of? Because there's a few people I could think of, but he's got such a nice, powerful swing from first.
I see a lot of Bellinger, actually. I know a lot of people want to call him another Aaron Judge, but he's not Aaron Judge. He's not a lefty Aaron Judge. They're just the same height. It's funny because you'll see the memes, like there's two of them now, and it's unbelievable. But he's more like a faster Bellinger. And that's something that I've always seen for him, because Bellinger has pop, and he's also very athletic for a guy his size. Jones is taller than Bellinger by a few inches, but they're both big dudes, and they both run well. So Jones is probably faster, but they both have a very similar left-handed swing. And that's why every time I talk about Jones, I point out what Mazza brought up in his article about how they can use him like that for the first few years of his career. They can use him as a hybrid first baseman outfielder because he can be really good at both. He's that athletic. His swing is gorgeous, and he was working on some stuff. And that home run, I know it was spring, but my goodness, when you hit something 470, I think Judge hit a homer in his first spring at bat in 2015. So, I mean, look, if this is the stuff we're going to see from him in the minors this year, we can only be excited about what's to come in the future. And yeah, Joan Danes compared him to Kyle Tucker as well. But I can see that, but I see a lot of Bellinger there. with the way he swings the bat. And that's a good sign because remember how good Bellinger was before the injuries kind of hurt him.
Yep. And we're gonna go back into the old school ways, and I'm gonna toss it to Donald in a second. We're gonna do a roll call for everybody in the chat. And while he's doing that, if you haven't already, hit that like button if you're excited about the way that the spring is starting and the points we're bringing up. If you're enjoying the content, hit the sub button as well. So Donald, let's go old school. Give us a roll call, buddy.
We're bringing in the roll call. Let's have a look and see what's happening here in the chat. We got FL Diver. What up? We got Frederick. Salute, Frederick. We got Mello. Hello, Mello. Let's go, Mello. We got Joan. Salute to Joan. Let's go, FJ. What up? Rob's dad. Always in the chat. Salute. We got Stevie B. Salute, Stevie B. Always riding with us. Got NFE. Always riding with us. Frederick. Absolutely riding with us. Damien. Salute Demon D, my guy Demon D. What's happening, Demon D? We got so many people in the chat. It's unbelievable. Hit us up, people. We got Jonathan. Salute Jonathan. It's a really lively chat early on, so we absolutely love it. Hit the sub button, hit the like button if for people who are watching this after the fact. We
All right. So while he's trying to regain his connection, what's going on, Cisco? So you just put in Sean Browning, Joan. You guys all know we appreciate you here. I want to bring up the other thing that stood out, and we saw it in the first game on Saturday, and then on the broadcasted game on yesterday's broadcast. The top of the order's production, I think, was spot on. I think that's what we've wanted to see. I think that's also something that has been missing from this team is the production at the top of the order, getting base runners on for the heart of the lineup. Because if you notice, they weren't hitting the ball hard in yesterday's game that I was able to watch a little bit of it. What I was able to see was even when they were making outs, they were productive outs. We were putting, instead of leaving runners stranded, we were moving the runners around, sack flies, speed on the bases to make sure that they advance the base. It was just, that's exactly what we need to see because you were able to give Rodon, and we're going to break him down in a little bit, you were able to see Rodon start the game with 2 runs already on the board. I think that's something we can anticipate seeing a lot as the season starts to get underway.
Yeah, the productive outs is a big thing because we didn't do that at all last year. There was just no productive outs. If we had 2 guys on or even bases or nobody out, they'd find a way to make a double play where the first out was at home. But to see, I think it was the first inning, Verdugo, I don't know if Verdugo got on, but Soto grounded out.
He doubled.
He doubled. And then Soto grounded out, got him over, and then Judge drove him in. And it's like, there's a run. And then the same inning, Torres grounds out, productive out. And then Rizzo had one as well, I believe. So that's what you want to see. If you're not going to hit the ball for doubles or singles, whatever, productive outs is exactly what you want because even if it's to move a guy over and drive in a run, that's better than the alternative, which is what we saw last year where they don't score at all. So you have that, and you again when we have a full lineup, you'll have LeMahieu in there, you'll have Volpe in there, you'll have all these guys, and there's just so much potential for that. And that's what makes a really good offense when you can do it both ways. You can make the productive outs, you could get the sacrifice flies, the small runs here and there, and then of course we have the guys in the middle of the order that can drive in 3 at a time, as we saw with Soto going opposite field. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful looking opposite field home run. So that's what we have to look forward to. And that wasn't even our full strength lineup out there. It was looking pretty good.
I like Verdugo at the top of the order. Double machine.
Yep.
You know what? We were saying prior to the games being played and seeing him on the field that it would probably be, LeMahieu. I mean, LeMahieu's going to lead off today. We're going to go through the lineup for today's spring game.
Awesome.
At some point. But no, Verdugo, he came to play. And you know what? And the other thing I took away from Verdugo, not only him on the field, but the interactions with the players in the dugout. I think that gets very underestimated when you see a player coming in for the first year. Maybe not like the traditional superstar, but a high profile player. Just blending right in with everybody like they've been together since college. They just have that camaraderie already. You see him sitting, goofing around with Judge, Soto. The three of them were actually very interactive in the dugout, on the field, the whole outfield. Like they are in sync. And to me, that says that, they're coming into, and Boone said this on the, when he was on with Kay during the game. These guys have worked so hard to get ready for the season. He goes, all my years in baseball, I don't think I can compare them to another group that was just driven to erase what happened last year.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe. I'm just getting a different vibe that I've seen. Just you can tell, man. It's early, but there's a different vibe. There's a different energy. It feels like they're kind of ready to go right now. Like, give us a regular season right now because they look like they're ready to go. The quality of at bats, as Rob pointed out, I want to piggyback on some of that. The productive at bats, you're getting productive outs. I haven't seen productive outs since 2017. Productive outs. It's fantastic to see. It's like, moving that runner along, getting that runner in with less than 2 outs, get that runner home from third with less than 2 outs. We've done that multiple times over the last couple of games. And then we got the power. And Soto looks ridiculous. Oh, my God. This is going to be so much fun. Holy shit. I think I better get myself a Soto jersey.
Yeah.
That's exactly why this offseason, no matter what else they did, that one move made this offseason worth it.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize how good, I think people are forgetting how good he is. And just his presence alone in the lineup makes Judge better, which is going to make Rizzo better. Rizzo looked good yesterday too. Not concussed. Anthony Rizzo's Anthony Rizzo again. So we have that to look forward to as well. And we're not even going to mention, we're going to see Stanton today. A little spoiler, he's in the lineup for this afternoon's game. So just think about what that's going to mean. And then there's Glaber in there as well. And whether or not it's DJ or Doogie at the top of the order, I agree with Damian. I do want Verdugo at the top of the order, but maybe against lefties, you'll see LeMahieu, and then sometimes against righties, you'll see Verdugo. But that just kind of brings you back to what we were saying earlier and in past shows. There's so many options now for the leadoff spot. It could be Verdugo. It could be LeMahieu if he's hitting like that. It could be Glaber. Could be Volpe at some point when Dominguez is healthy. He could be there. There's so many options. And knowing that you have Soto and Judge in the 2-3, that makes everyone else's job so much easier. Just get on base and let them do the work and let the middle of that order do the work. Because more often than not, they're going to get the job done. That 2, 3, 4, 5 of Soto, Judge, Rizzo, Stanton is unbelievable. And we're going to have a lot of fun this year with that lineup. It's unfair. Exactly. Very
Absolutely unfair. I can understand why maybe some people would underestimate it because you're like, how much difference can one player make? But it goes beyond WAR and it goes beyond his bat. What he's done to change the batting order, for one, it's now like ridiculous and unfair. But it's like adding Shaq to Kobe. It's like you've got Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, and both of them are going to piggyback off each other, going to learn off each other, and they're going to get better together because the two of them, for me, are 1 and 2 as the best hitters in baseball right now. They're 1 and 2. Aaron Judge, Soto, whichever way you want to put it, they are 1 and 2. I think they're better hitters than Ohtani. They're better all-round hitters. And we've got the 2 best hitters in baseball playing for us. So, I mean, it doesn't just make us a better team, but it's changed the mentality of the clubhouse as well. Because now it just seems like there's a different energy and a different vibe. It's kind of like let's go freaking get it vibe. Soto's perfect for the locker room because he's so positive. You hear him speak, he's so unrelentingly positive. His introductory press conference, he was unrelentingly positive. He's a positive guy. And he just seems really at home. He keeps talking about like it feels like he's at home here with the Yankees already. And he just seems like a perfect fit. It's a huge deal for the Yankees, and he looks ridiculous early on. Like he looks in midseason form already. So bring me the regular season, guys. Let's not waste our time with March. Let's just get over. Let's skip to the end of March and let's go. This team is great.
Well, no, that'd be very realistic to just get this thing going. But we do need to get some of the pitching, warmed up and ready to go, because I want to get into Rodon's start and what I saw from him. And I was actually, I can't say it was a bad outing. I really can't. He had to work some accounts, but the one note that I took away from it, he avoided hard contact. Right? He wasn't getting, taxed like he was last year. He was giving up a lot of hard hits. He just needs more control of the zone. He was going too deep into counts. He was having a little trouble with the swing and miss. But like I said in the beginning before you guys came on, let's not take too much stock into a pitcher's first outing, because like Donald also iterated when he jumped in, they're working, they're trying to see, they're working on grip, seeing what pitches are what pitches are working for them this year. Did they introduce a new pitch? Are they adjusting their delivery where they're not putting so much strain on them? So it's going to take, I'd say, 3 spring training outings before we really see with the pitchers how they're going to look going into the season. I think that's fair.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, even though he had one like rough inning, I guess you could say,
the third,
but he still got out of the jam.
Yep.
He got out of it. He struck out 4 or 5, which is a nice number to have. The velo was up, and Damian points out he added a cutter to his repertoire, so that's nice. Because he needed a third pitch. He needs a third pitch that he could really master. Because right now the fastball and slider is a good combo, but he needs a third pitch because he won't be as predictable. So if that's the cutter, great. If that's a curveball, great. Change up, whatever. 5 strikeouts. So I think he looked fine. He gave up 1 home run, but that's going to happen. He's not going to pitch a shutout every time. He's not going to be perfect every time. But if we're getting 6 inning or more starts out of him where he's given up a few runs here and there, we're going to take it. And if he's striking out a bunch of batters, this is a guy that can strike out 200 easily in a season. So that's the kind of stuff he has. We just need to keep him healthy throughout the spring, and we're going to get a much better pitcher. You saw it already. His start last year, his first spring start where he got hurt, looked terrible. Velocity was down. Everything was flat, and he got hurt. This one, he looked a lot better. 5 strikeouts in less than 3 innings of work. One run given up. You're going to take that every day of the week. So it was very encouraging, but I agree. Let's wait until he has another 2 or 3 starts under his belt before you really start to put any projections on him. But so far, so good.
Luis Gil looked good too. He did fine. He did absolutely fine, Luis Gil, for his first outing since being hurt. He looked fine. His velocity looked good. Plenty of movement on his pitches, so that's exciting too.
The other pitcher, Hill. I'm not worried about Hill. I think that he's going to make his way back into the fold fine. I don't think he had any issues. Like you said, his velocity was where we wanted. It was comfortable. His delivery, he looked like it was very fluid. He wasn't straining to throw. Another pitcher that I was watching closely was Weaver.
Yeah, I was going to say that he looked fine.
And what I noted down. What I liked about Weaver was he kept the ball down and a lot of soft contact. Same thing like when we first got Holmes over here. He was doing the same thing. Ball low in the zone. A lot of bats were rolling over it, and they were just infield ground balls, or soft, little bloops. So I thought Weaver was also, he showed a lot of promise. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him.
That's his MO. Soft contact, keep balls low in the zone. That's why he's kind of perfect for Matt Blake.
And he added velocity last year to his fastball. So that's why I think that was such a good move to bring him back for so cheap, because he was so much better with us in the limited time we had him last year. And he's another example of that Matt Blake pitching factory that we have, how we keep turning these guys with 6 ERAs, 7 ERAs, into a guy with like a 3. Look how good Middleton was with us, and he ended up getting a pretty decent contract this offseason, to a point where people were like, how did you let him leave? So that's what Matt Blake does. And I mean, look at some of these guys that have had some pretty good outings in the spring yet, but how they've looked in practices and live BP and all that stuff. Look at Nick Birdie. How many times have I brought his name up this offseason? He's throwing gas, and he's got a wicked slider, and now he's starting to get some recognition. I've been saying this for 2 months now. Keep an eye on him, because he's the prototypical Matt Blake guy that's coming back from injury that nobody knows. He had bad numbers, and he's going to turn into a weapon. So far, I want to see him in game, but so far what we've seen from him in practice, he's getting glowing reviews. So I love it, and I love the fact that Weaver looked good. I think our bullpen's going to be really, really good. And it's just a matter of, to me, if Clay Holmes can avoid that, if he can avoid that 2-week span, or if he can avoid that August he had last year, because that was Holmes' biggest issue. His August was terrible. Everything else was fine. If he can avoid that Chapman-like span where he just can't get anybody out, he's going to do fine. And I think our bullpen's going to be electric, and we have so many other weapons that we haven't even seen yet that we're going to have at our disposal. This team is stacked, man. The bullpen is stacked.
Yep. You know, another pitcher I took a note of is I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but just you guys know the drill. Mizwisks, you know what I'm talking about.
Mishwitz. Right?
Yeah, that's well. I was going to say, I know I was going to pronounce it wrong. The one thing I don't like is delivery. I don't like the coil. Yeah, I thought that really threw his command off.
He's not someone that you're going to really look for. I don't think he's going to make too much of an impact this year.
Yeah, I was, as I was watching, it was just something that was just kind of, it didn't sit right. I was like, Umaga, Umanaga. Yeah, you're right. But no, it was. I would like to see him tighten the delivery up a little bit, because I think he has. He's got good stuff. I would just like him to control the zone a little more and adjust his stance, because I think he's throwing too much from behind him.
That's
so
fair.
that was just something that I noticed. But really, and I'm not saying to be negative. Just little notes that I took of guys, that we've talked about, some prospects that was spoken highly of, but the one prospect that I really want to focus on, we touched on it a little bit in the beginning. We have to go back to Jones, and thank God we kept this kid. This kid he is special. I don't know. I don't think there's any player out there I would trade him for. Not one. He looked really good. His approach to play, he played like a veteran. He looked so comfortable.
He looks ridiculous. So before the Yankees drafted him, Loden Sports analyzed his metrics, and they said that only 0.22% of the athletes that they've measured had a 9 for speed and power, which they've given to Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones is one of just 0.22% of the athletes that they've measured that has the power and speed of at least 9, which is considered elite. So you're talking about an athlete who is considered elite. A rival scout, according to John Heyman, says that he's a can't miss prospect, and number one prospect for the Yankees by far. And you could tell he carries himself different, man. He looks like he's ready pretty soon. Like he's just, his quality of at bats were right there, and his swing looks freaking ridiculous. That 470-foot shot, I don't think it's landed yet. I'm waiting for it to land in Scotland. I'll go and for the NYYU event. I'll have it in my hands hopefully in the next day or two when it lands, and I'll come by and show it to you guys. No, honestly, ridiculous shot. I don't think it landed. He looks ridiculous. So We're talking about an elite prospect. I can't wait to see him become our regular outfielder / first baseman. I can't wait. Can't wait. It looks phenomenal. I ain't trading him for nothing. I agree with you, Tats. Nothing. He's staying.
Yeah, I'm going to get to Acevedo's comment in a second. I want to pull up, discuss something that was in the chat real quick. And Jones' comment that the trade talk didn't affect him. That and then Diver followed up saying that it fueled him. I think that's true. When you see that the organization that you're with has that much confidence in your ability, I mean, that's got to be a huge motivating factor.
He's a smart kid, like there's I know Dane's brought it up several times how well he graded out on his testing. Like he was one of the top guys there as well. So that's why I was confident that he would fix his swing issues, because he did have a bit of an issue last year in the minors. His swing was not very great, and the power suffered a little bit because of it. Offensively, he wasn't as good as he could be, but you're already starting to see the early results of that work he put in this offseason. So I said it all along, if the Yankees have a plan for him, great. Just make sure they execute the plan. When he's ready, you get him up here. You don't mess around with him. You get him here, you keep him here. Otherwise, I thought they should have explored getting a guy like a Corbin Burns for him. I'm not going to take away what I said. I said I would trade him for Corbin Burns. I love what I'm seeing so far, but I also said in the same conversation, if they want to keep him, fantastic, because I think this kid's going to be really good. But so far, the results are there. That bomb, you don't hit 470 and not have talent. You don't hit a home run. It might have been more than 470. Some other stats had it at 479. So we're talking about a near 480-foot home run. That there's a lot to like there, and not just with the power, but the speed and the defense. He's a guy that you can use in multiple positions in multiple different ways. And I'm glad the Yankees decided that they're going to have a plan for him. That's all I wanted them to do. If they didn't have a plan, if they didn't know what they wanted to do with him, or if they said, well, we'd like to keep him, but that's already given you kind of like bad vibes that they don't know what to do with this kid. But the fact that Hal was like, I don't want to move him, that tells me they have a plan for him. So when he's ready, probably by next year, the earliest, it could be even this year at this point, but next year, I think you're going to see him out of the spring. They need to put him either as a hybrid first baseman center fielder or stick him in center field and figure out what to do with the other guys, Dominguez and Judge, and hopefully Soto. You'll figure out the rest, but I'm glad they have a plan for him, because the early results of his work in the offseason are starting to show. Now we'll see how he does the rest of the spring, but the big thing for him is how does he take to AA this year and then eventually AAA? Because we know the Yankees love to get guys at bats in AAA, and we'll see how he does there. But early signs, very, very positive.
Yeah, it's. I'm not worried about how I like we say every year. When you have an influx of fielders for a position, as we get closer to opening day in the regular season, it usually irons itself out, and all the pieces will fit. But yeah, it's seeing him start in AA, get a couple, a little bit there. I think he is going to go through the AAA. They like to put these guys through the process of getting them through the system and not rushing them up. Don't rush him. Let him develop naturally. If he's one of those guys that there's no choice but to bring him up, because he's playing so well, then let it take its time. Let it come naturally. Don't force it. I don't want to see a situation. The other thing is, we saw what Dominguez did before he got hurt, and what what he can do, and what he could bring to the team. I don't want to just throw Dominguez down in the minor leagues to bring Jones up. And I know that they read differently. I'm worried about one of these guys being yanktified now.
No, absolutely not. When Dominguez is healthy and they're not going to rush him back, he could be back sooner, but he's on the 60-day IL, and that won't start till the opening day. So June, I think, would be the earliest we see him, but put him in AAA for a little bit. Let him get his bearings right. Let him get some work in. Once he's 100%, he's coming here. He's coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't unless Verdugo is hitting at an unbelievable rate and you just can't bench him for it, which could very well be the case because I think Verdugo is going to have a really good year, and which is fine. Again, Dominguez could play the rest of the year in AAA up until September. He honestly could, and that would be a good thing because that means everyone else is hitting. But if there's a guy that's struggling and maybe they move off from Verdugo, they DFA him or they trade him for a couple of pieces, and you get Dominguez here. Once Dominguez is good to go, there's going to be a conversation about what to do with him. And that's not going to, and Jones is not going to affect Dominguez in any way. There's every opportunity to get both of those guys in the lineup in 2025, whether it's using Jones as a first baseman, center fielder hybrid. Dominguez will be in left or center field. I know Dane's brought it up, putting him in left, but he says even for a couple of years, he can handle center field. So eventually he'll switch over, but there's no way that one's going to affect the other. That's their future plan right there, is those two kids in the outfield with Judge until Judge has to DH. And I think you'll see once Stanton's gone, Judge will transition to DH, and you're probably going to have Jones, Dominguez, Soto as your outfield.
Yeah, I mean, this is all good problems to have. So I don't want to jump too far in the future, but these are all great problems to have. I don't want people to sleep on Verdugo. Aaron Judge really pressed to have the Yankees acquire Verdugo. And so, listen, he's the captain, and they're gonna want to abide by the captain. Cashman's been trying to acquire Verdugo for the last couple of off seasons. Don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on. I'm not talking to Rob. I'm just talking in general. The fans watching. Don't sleep on him. Like, this guy is a really good fit. He's got the energy. He's got the experience playing for a rabid fan base, in a big market. He's got the big market experience. He's got the personality for the big market. And he's someone who Aaron Judge personally wanted to bring in. So it's all kind of coming together here. Like, he could have an effect where you could be like a Johnny Damon type, and just transition really well from Boston and just kind of bring that different kind of energy that this locker room needs. And he's a doubles machine. So don't sleep on that. I don't think there'll be any situation where he'll be DFA'd. Now, as for let's not also sleep on Grisham. Grisham hit a home run in the first game of spring. He looks really good too. So that's your fourth outfielder absolutely locked down. He's a fantastic Gold Glove caliber center fielder that has about 16 to 18 home run upside pop right there. So that's your fourth outfielder. That's really good. So there's no rush for Dominguez. Dominguez, I think his body type transitions better for left field. I do think that, and I think that our guy Spencer Jones looks more like a natural center fielder with his athleticism, with his speed. I just feels like he's a better fit for center field, but I think he'll also do fine at first. But these are all good problems to have. I think right now we're looking at Dominguez and Spencer Jones more for 2025. I think what we're seeing right now is kind of how 2020 is a 2024 team. I think you'll have your four outfielders, and you have Stanton, who's fitter, and leaner, who's going to play occasionally in the outfield and probably be a solid DH. And then next year, you'll probably look to push him out. He might be available for trade, and then that's maybe when you'll see Dominguez get more everyday at-bats. But I wouldn't be looking too far ahead on these guys. I think what we're seeing right now is how it's going to be. But as I say, all good problems to have. Yeah. We didn't have this depth last year. So, I mean, I remember we were looking at playing IKF, playing center field, and it wasn't that long ago. Oswaldo Cabrera playing outfield, and it wasn't that long ago, just last year. And now we have a ton of outfielders that are all major league ready. They're all really good coming from the minors. And then you've got fantastic bats ready to rock and roll, elite bats. So all good problems to have. And I mean, I don't envy Aaron Boone making these decisions, because someone's going to be disappointed that deserves every day at bats.
Yeah, it is a good problem to have, because I brought it up because they were saying how he's going to be he's starting to swing next week, or some point this week. Trevino is going to be back in games also next week. Meredith Barakovich was saying, So some guys are already, on the projection to be back into the fold. But with Dominguez, you're seeing him healing a lot quicker for the Tommy John than we see from pitchers, and that's kind of been the trend, where batters are actually, it's not really a full season of recovery like a pitcher would be. So it could rear its head a little sooner than we anticipated. So, and it was one of the talking points on the broadcast yesterday of having that such a good problem to have, like we always say. So that's the only reason I brought it up. But what are we taking away from Strawman? What's our takeaway from that? He kind of didn't have the best start, but like I said before, it's just one. But was there something that? Because I didn't see anything wrong with his delivery. His mechanics, he looked fine. The zone, he just kind of. The other team just hit him.
Yeah, what did he give up? What was it? 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 were earned. So there must have been an error involved there.
Yeah, Peraza.
We're gonna get to Peraza in a second.
So again, he's a guy that's going to throw low 90s. He's going to get ground balls. I'm not too concerned about it. Again, it's one start. He came out of it healthy. That's all I ask for. As long as these guys come out of these starts healthy, the production will be there. Because had he had a lights out start, because not even Rodon was lights out, even though he looked good, there were still some things to kind of pick at and be like, let's critique this. I'm okay with it. If he's going to struggle a little bit, okay, now you know what you need to work on. And I think he's going to be fine. If as long as Stroman's pitching to the back of his baseball card this year, I'm not worried about his first spring start at all. Yeah. This is the guy that's going to give you a 3.5 or maybe a little bit higher ERA. He'll be fine. I'm not too worried. Nice to see him get a couple of strikeouts in there, though. And he came back out for the third. Let's see what he does in his next start. If this becomes a trend, you might be a little concerned. But if his next start, he gives you a solid 2 or 3 innings, you're not going to worry about what happened in start 1.
Facts. I mean, guys that have a locked-in spot in the rotation, it doesn't matter what their ERA and results are early in spring. It's all about the only things that matter is maybe velocity, which indicates health, and health. Those are the only 2 things that really matter early on in spring with starters. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but for me, that's all I care about. As long as they come out of that start healthy and there's velo which matches where they are, that means that they're in a good spot. Early on in spring, as I say, it's about testing out your stuff, maybe your secondary pitches and your tertiary pitches. Yep. It's not your full arsenal. It does not matter what the results are. You will start to see a better idea what these guys' full arsenal is towards the end of spring. These starts don't matter. It really doesn't matter. As long as he's healthy and his velo's there, all that matter. So we're fine. We're absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's when you see guys work on this stuff in spring all the time. Yeah. I'll talk about Miami's camp as well. Last year, I think it was their closer, Scott. He was working on some stuff, and he was getting roughed up in camp. Like, they were tagging him, and he ended up having a really good year. Yeah. I'll bring up Edward Cabrera again. I don't know if Brad's here, but here's my Cabrera reference for the day. He's been getting lit up in practice, absolutely lit up, but he's trying to throw more strikes. So because of that, he's trying to work on some stuff, but it doesn't mean he's going to have a terrible season. This is what guys do in the spring. They work on things. They're trying to test out new pitches, and they're going to see what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be worked on. So there's no reason to be concerned about it. There's no reason to be overly critiquing things about a pitcher, especially one start in. Again, if he had been lights out, we were going to probably be talking about this is the greatest signing ever. This is what happens in spring training. So I think we'll look more, like you said, with Rodon. Let's see 2-3 starts from now how he's looking, and then we'll start to really pick apart and analyze what he's looking like in the spring. But one start, you can't be too concerned because you saw the good and you saw the bad there. So let's just find the middle ground, really.
Yep. Now, his name was brought up, and his Valentine is in the chat. So let's get into Peraza here. He made 2 errors. What a waste of talent. We should just trade him when we had the chance. Thank God we have Volpe to play short, because this guy can't play for shit. Now, look, I feel bad for Peraza. I do. He's got a lot of promise. I'm not gonna go and just go overboard because of a spring training game. The first weekend of spring, can we not overreact to him, please?
Too late. Too late. Because you know who already did. So
There's got to be
I know
someone
he did.
that
That's
you're
why.
upset at, isn't it? There just has to be. You just can't be excited that your team scored a football score in back-to-back games. We put up football scores what the Giants would be freaking envious of, and we're still looking for things to be unhappy about. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It doesn't matter if we're hitting great. The results don't matter, right? Peraza will be fine. He's an elite defensive player. That's it. That's it. It really doesn't matter. I don't think he gives a shit because he knows that he'll make the play tomorrow.
Yeah. And you think like he didn't make mistakes when he first got called up and he started to get regular playing time? He made a couple of errors and he made a couple of duds in the field, and none of us were like, "Oh, they killed this kid's confidence." No, it's a rough game. Shake it off. He'll go back out there next time, probably playing a different position. Because guess what? He's not going to be playing shortstop for us anyway. He's going to be the backup at best, and he'll be playing a lot more third and second. I'm not worried about a couple of errors in his first spring game of the season. If we're going to overreact about that, please, by all means, go do something else with your time. I want to see him at third, and I want to see him at second, because that's where more than likely he will be playing for us if he becomes an everyday guy. He's not going to be playing that much shortstop this year, only when Volpe has the rare day off. Volpe's the shortstop. He played every day last year. He will be the shortstop. That is it.
I'm going to quote my age here, but Derek Jeter struggled in his first spring in his rookie year. He couldn't make a freaking play. And Joe Torre was like, Gene, is he ready to play shortstop? And Gene's like, oh, yeah, he is. So, like, literally just like, you just have to relax. You just have to relax. You shouldn't be looking, and I'm not talking about individual posters because sometimes we get overly focused on people in the chat. I'm just going to talk general. Don't look for problems. If the problems aren't there, don't look for them, okay? There's a lot to be excited about. This team looks healthy, knock on wood, and it's hitting the literal bejesus out of the ball right now. So that's great. And Peraza, don't worry about it. Literally, it's the same thing. Early on in spring, people are just, getting out there again, shaking off the rust, and ramping up. If you're already balling out from first day of spring, great, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to ball out at the end of March, April. It just doesn't matter. Really doesn't. Tejera couldn't hit in April, but he was a freaking baller in May, June. It doesn't matter, right? So let's just
bad in April.
Chill out. Like, honestly, as I say, Derek Jeter couldn't freaking catch a ball, and he's our Mount Rushmore of all-time Yankees, my favorite Yankee of all time. So let's just chill out. Enjoy the fact that we got beautiful baseball and the Yankees are putting up football scores, which neither of our New York teams could do. So let's just freaking enjoy it. That's my advice, people. That's my advice.
Yeah, no, look, we all want Peraza. Right? We all want to see him do well. We want to see him get a spot on this team. It's just not his time yet. That's really what I think it comes down to. They had guys that they brought in because we weren't sure when they were going to be ready. Just because they were ready a little early, it's not that easy to just readjust your whole system. They have contracts that are somewhat movable, but they're not easy to move around. Nobody's taking DJ. Nobody's taking Rizzo. So where are you clearing space? And he's got his feet cemented in the ground. He's not going to accept a trade anywhere. Not with the way this team is playing. Starting off, he wants that chip. So he's not going anywhere. So we're gonna have to. I don't want to say suffer through it, but we're just gonna have to ride this wave of these veterans as they get to as they make their way. Huh?
Bad word choice. Suffer through it. I mean, our veterans look phenomenal. I'm excited, man.
Well, that's what I said. I can't say that. We're just gonna have to ride the wave with these guys, and let them continue to give us something, because we know what they are. It's look, DJ. If he never got hurt, we're not complaining about him. We're not questioning him on the field. We're not questioning him in the lineup. Same thing with Rizzo. We're all ready to throw a parade last year because he was having a career year before someone's fat ass took him out. So now Rizzo, look, he looked great in the box yesterday.
Yeah, he looked fine. He looked good.
He looked good.
It's
So
almost as if he's not concussed, you'd have nothing to worry about. And a lot of people were questioning if he's ever going to be the same guy again. I mean, once you're getting the headaches and you're not seeing double anymore, anyone who suffered a little, even a tiny concussion, I've had some head injuries that I've had to deal with, and it's not fun. I can tell you that right now. Even if you get hit in the head, if NFE, you know what I'm talking about. You box, you do MMA. I'm sure it doesn't feel right when you get rocked around a few times. So once that's gone, you're feeling good. Anthony Rizzo is going to be a professional hitter. He's even if he's hitting like low 240, whatever, he's still going to get you 25 bombs. He's still going to drive in a bunch of runs. He's still going to play phenomenal defense at first. And look, would I want to see Peraza start for us? Absolutely. But I'm not going to look too far into one rough start at short. So again, you can critique stuff. Absolutely. But let's see how he does next time out. And more than likely, he'll be at another position next time anyway. If he looks good at third, I'm more concerned about him at third base because we have a shortstop. And we have another shortstop, too, that we should be excited about coming through the pipeline. And one of them showed up yesterday and hit a bomb in his first pro at-bat, which is Lombard. So, hey, I'm not worried about Peraza at shortstop because he's not play there for us.
Facts. Uncle Handlebar, read out today's team.
So, for today's lineup, hold on. Of course, now it doesn't want to pull up. But we got so leading off the lineups. We got LeMahieu at third. That's fine. Soto's in right, batting second. Batting third today is Torres at second base. Rizzo at cleanup at first. Stanton is a DH. Verdugo batting sixth in left field.
Nice.
Volpe at short.
Nice.
We're going to see Grisham in center.
Yep.
And we're going to see the ghost, Roitvet, catching batting ninth.
Nice. That's a cool lineup, man. I'm excited to see how that plays out.
So that's
why we haven't seen Wells yet. Why haven't we seen Wells yet?
Yeah. That
is a surprise.
Maybe tomorrow.
It's a surprise, but I'm not concerned about it.
Or the next game, whenever the next game is.
Yeah. Well, we have a ton. We got Rice, and we got a ton of catchers that look pretty good. So,
well, who's pitching today? Is it Nestor?
We got today. Pitching is we got Cortez going today.
Okay.
The nasty Nestor. Now these are the kind of people that we want to pay attention to. Ones like Nestor Cortez, guys that are competing for certain spots in the rotation. You want to see how they're doing. So I want to see how Nestor's velocity is and his location, especially. I want to see how he does. So that's certainly going to be interesting.
Yep. What's going on? Good morning, TC. What's going on, Frank? Look, and also just it is a home game, so it is available on the YES Network.
Let's go. Oh, by the way, it was really cool listening to Jack Curry on the telecast. I thought he was great.
Yeah, he broke my heart about the Snell news, but otherwise that was fine.
Yeah,
I really liked him as. I just thought he just brought a different energy. I liked him. He was knowledgeable, and I was just really liked listening to him. So much better than what we've had in the past.
I'm getting
Paul O'Neill and David Cohen aside, but we've had some kind of weird ones. So
yeah,
he was great.
Like Cameron Maben.
Oh, he's terrible.
I was like, what?
Why? Beltran. Remember Beltran?
Beltran. But look, I think sometimes we get too caught up, and I went into Rob. You heard the rant on Saturday's show. Let's stop getting too caught up into these prospects. Just let them go let them develop naturally. Stop forcing guys. And just because there's another guy you like, it gets into the weeds where, we were screaming, not to trade, player A for player B. And because there's no spot for player B that we didn't want to move, now we're screaming, well, we just got to cut this guy. But then next year there's another, there's another, hot girl at the school that you want, you want her number now.
Yeah.
So now you know what? You're done. I'm going, let's calm down. I'm explaining it a lot. I was a lot more angry about it on Saturday. Not angry, I was more frustrated about it. What it was, Dominguez is the future. Now Jones is the future. Lalane's the future. Peraza is the future. Volpe is the future. Arias is the future. Wells is the future. Navarez is the future. How much of a future are we going to fucking have? Warren,
Facts on facts.
You could only play 9 guys on the field.
Facts on facts.
It's going to come to a point where somebody's got to go or sit and wait.
Well, a lot of these guys are still years away anyway. So that's what I'm trying to say is like our system is very heavy at the bottom of the bottom league, like the lower A's and high A's and the Gulf, the FCL. We don't have to worry about this for another 2-3 years anyway. That's why I'm comfortable if we were to move Chase Hampton right now, because his stock is so high, he could potentially get us a Dylan Cease. Because if you look at what's in the bottom of our system, Lalani is one of those guys we should be excited about. Brock Selvage is one of those guys. Carlos LaGrange, who could actually, I think he's going to pitch today in that game this afternoon. He's another one. There's Luis Serna, Jared Serna's cousin. He's at the very bottom he's like 18, 19 years old. These are kids that are 2-3 years away that Lombard as well. We don't have to worry about it. Arias, they're all so young. We're not worrying about them right now. They're going to be here in 2-3 years at this point. So it's so bottom heavy that in 2 years, we're going to be talking about these kids the way we're talking about Jones and Hampton. We don't have to worry about these kids yet, but it's a good thing to look at that because we should get excited for the future. We should absolutely be excited for the future because it's all in this year and next year. And of course, if we get Soto for every year after that, but this year they have to win, which is why I'd be comfortable moving Hampton because I want a sure thing over the prospect. And in 2 years' time, when Cease hits free agency, Lalane is going to be at the top of the list. He's going to be a top 100 prospect. LaGrange could be right there with him. Selvage could be right there with him. There's a lot of talent at the bottom level of this team. So this is why people that follow prospects, even us, even the prospect guys, even Dane will try to tell you to kind of like, hey, just not everyone's going to work out. He said it the other day, only about 6 of these guys are probably going to be New York Yankees. And we have such a deep system. So even Dane will tell you like, hey, not everyone's going to be on this team. So you can name 18 people. Doesn't mean 18 people are going to be on the team. Dominguez will be here for the rest of his career, hopefully. Spencer Jones will have a spot wherever that is. LaGrange could. Lalani should. Hampton might. He might not. Warren probably will, but we don't know yet. We don't know yet. So it's good to keep an eye on them to know what we have in the system so we can be like, okay, is this guy going to be a future piece or is he going to be a trade chip? And that's what you do with prospects. There's no need to overanalyze a kid that's 16 years old, especially with the international market. These kids are signing at 12, 13 years old. That's when they're getting scouted. You ain't worrying about someone when they're 16. Oh, what are they going to do with him in 6 years? Like, no, there's no need to worry about it, but you can get yourself excited for the prospect. That's why they're called prospects.
Yeah, I just want to nip in and just say amen to what everything Rob said right there. I got to shoot off, but everyone enjoy your spring training day. It's beautiful in Florida, I'm sure, and just enjoy another awesome spring training. It's so good to have baseball back, and I'll see you all guys on Wednesday.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
Salute.
No, it does drive me. It just aggravates me. The flavor of the month mentality with these prospects. Because yes, like you said, and that's a good problem is that they're on the that they're still towards the bottom of the list of who's in projection of coming up. There's still a few years away where we have time, but also to Jones' point, then you run the risk of the Rule 5 draft. And it's like, and almost right on cue, there was a comment, wait until Yankee fans, were talking about, wanting to trade Arias, and the lane. And it's gonna look. Then you're gonna have to move somebody to make room for those guys. So, like I said, sometimes trades hurt. As long as if you have to move any of these guys, if it comes down to it, I'm not saying they're being traded. If it's gonna work, yeah, I know if somebody's triggered. I don't care. They'll go on their own channel and bitch. But I'm just to that point. Look, we can't keep everybody. We want to, but then we start screaming that they're prospect hugging, and they're not going for it.
Which is untrue.
Which is not true because you're seeing the effects of the patient game and not just going all in. Trade everybody. We have to win this year. And it's. I know he's not in here, so I'm not going to. You won't know who I'm referring to. It's all about 24. Yes, it's all about 24. We want to put a winning team together because we want Soto to be like, I don't want to leave this. You need a winning year. But winning once is not the way the Yankees do it. They don't just win one and go into the shadows. We want 1, 2, 3. We want to go on a run. We want a dynasty. So you're going to need these prospects at the same time to continue to develop, to keep feeding the machine. So it all comes down to balance.
Yeah, and look, if we want to pick 6 out of our long list of prospects that'll probably be here, Lalani is one of them. Arias is another. I think there's room for Arias, whether he's the shortstop or even maybe entertain putting him at third because he's got such a good arm. I think he can handle third base. I know he's a better shortstop, but usually if you're good at shortstop, you can handle third. Look at A-Rod. He did it flawlessly.
Yeah.
And he was the better shortstop, and he handled third base just fine. Peraza, great shortstop, looks great at third. So I think Arias can handle third base if they don't want to move Volpe. And then you can probably have Peraza play second if they keep him for the long haul, or maybe you think about putting Lombard there. If Volpe continues to play at a good level at short, they're not going to move off from him. I don't see it happening. I know Dane's brought it up. I just don't see it happening. But you can definitely see Lombard, Arias, Lalane, or is it Lalane? You can see Selvage making this team. Warren's another, and of course Spencer Jones. And there's your 6. And Dominguez also. So I guess there's 7. Maybe there could be more. But realistically, you're not going to see every single prospect make this team because Austin Wells is no longer a prospect, I think. But we also have like 6 other catchers that are in the system right now. So, again, we have so much depth that you can move off from some of these guys in a trade right now, and still it would not deplete your system. Because like I said, it's so bottom heavy at the lower levels that in 2 years, those guys are going to be at the same level right now. So that's what everyone knows. When you have a good system, it's a good problem. Yeah. We're a top 7 system in baseball. Eventually, you have to move some of these guys, and I do think they're trying. According to Nightingale, they still want Dylan Cease, but they're insisting on Spencer Jones. Well, negotiations can still be had. Maybe you try to convince them to come off from Jones, but you might have to give them more. So maybe you have to do like a 4-for-1 swap. Hampton will probably be involved in that, but they don't want to move Hampton, so we'll see what goes on there. But eventually, you're going to have to trade some of these guys, but you're also going to have a few guys that you pick out that are the untouchables and the guys that you have a plan for. So time will tell. Lombard and Arias are still incredibly young that we don't have to worry for another couple of years at best. So there's no need to overanalyze it, but it's a good problem to have, though.
Yeah. Well, the good problem to have is our offense at this point to start the spring. So I'm swinging it back to the positive as we sign off here. The team's already started. We have 3 spring training games under our belt, and we have a 2,000 plus run differential. So there's a lot to be excited about. These players, they're going to be fine. I'm not worried about, a couple of errors. I'm not worried about, a home run given up. I'm not worried about a strikeout. It's 3 freaking spring training games. This team is clicking. The camaraderie is right where we want it to be. So let's just enjoy the spring. Baseball is back. This is what we've all, this is what we've been playing for. We've wanted this back so bad. It's here. Let's just enjoy it and go from there. So on that note, if you haven't already, hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit subscribe. And as we always say, share this out with your friends, your family, the stranger around the corner. Wear those pinstripes of pride and play on.